sitting in a dark, small box, allowed to only see family and friends at certain times, always supervised, always in fear. This is the reality for over 40,000 Canadians in prison. Now imagine you're in prison for a crime you didn't commit. However, it's not because of incorrect evidence, it is because of you. You confessed to the police supplying details of a crime you never committed, let alone witnessed. False confessions are more common than we may think. Just one example is the Central Park Five, a group of 5 boys who all confessed to rape, spent 13 years in prison, despite all being innocent. Now everyone in this room is thinking the same thing. Why would I ever confess to something I didn't do? This is the question that has plagued law officials, doctors, and scientists. However, I think this comes down to one thing: memory. The inspiration was that my mother has 8 siblings. Whenever someone tells a story, at least one person believes that the story happened to them, or that the details of the story are wrong. I thought, how can this be that every sibling remembers it slightly differently? As my research expanded into false confessions, my purpose became why our minds are so easily changed and manipulated and how it can affect us. We all want to believe that our mind is impeccable, that nobody could convince us of something that we know is wrong. That is incorrect. Everyone's mind when testing has a breaking point, specifically when stressed. Even slight suggestion can cause people to rethink their memories. Our minds are always updating. Our minds aren't videotaped. We can't remember everything perfectly. Like a camera, we take snapshots, our brain pieces them together, and sometimes the connections simply aren't accurate. Doctors have found that our memories change mainly due to public and private conformity. My experiment, along with research, helped me to see how easily influenced our memories are. I asked subjects a series of questions, changing the levels of stress throughout. What I found was that I was easily able to pressure and influence subjects. In the case of childhood TV shows, I told subjects character details that were completely false. The subjects then began to recall more false details, telling me about things that never actually happened, even though originally they couldn't recall any details. This is private conformity. Everyone in some way needs approval, so we agree and we say what people think we want to hear as a confirmation to ourselves. Secondly, in my experiment, I asked about cheating. All subjects who admitted to cheating defended themselves and tried to downplay their actions. This is both public and private conformity. It is public because they fear that if they unapologetically own the cheating, they will be persecuted, so they try to conform. Our minds convince us to say what people want to hear in order to escape the stressful situation. Public conformity can be far more dangerous, as it often uses fear and stress to convince people ideas they normally wouldn't believe. A good historical example is Nazi Germany. Not all people agreed with Hitler's ideals, but through stress and fear and pressure from the masses, they became convinced of what he said. These two things can cause us to change our memories. It is one of the contributing factors to false confessions. This pressure from ourselves and others, paired with the fact that our mind is always updating, cements the lie we just told as truth. My closing message is that my project expanded more into how this affects our society. We can't change the way our minds work, but we can always challenge something when we see something is wrong. We can speak out against the abuse of power in the justice system and corrupt governments. As I said before, everyone has a different breaking point. Everyone's mind is different, and that's what makes this study so unique. We can't change the construction of our minds, but we can change the system that takes advantage of them. Thank you.